All right, I'm back, and we're talking about my BMW E34 because all of the BMW guys have let me know they hate this car. And as much as I hate to be a hipster, I don't think they know what they're talking about. Let me tell you why. If you're a fan of classic BMWs, you probably want an E30. But to be fair, most of the community's love for the E30 comes from the M3, and rightfully so. This is a legendary car. But like, if we're completely honest and realistic with ourselves, the chances of us landing an E30 M3 for a project car is like slim to none. It's probably not going to happen. What's more than likely going to happen is that we're just going to get a regular E30, you know, a two-door or more than likely a four-door E30. And if you're looking at a four-door E30, I feel like you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not looking at an E34, because in most situations, a E34 is just as good, if not better, than a four-door E30. And one of the main places where I see an advantage of the E34 over the E30 is the suspension. Now, I'm not saying that the E30 has bad suspension, but when these cars were new, the E30 had a very old suspension design. Now, yes, you can argue that it does work, and I'm not saying that it's not effective. People race those things all the time. But at the end of the day, there's a lot more modern technology in the E34. In fact, the suspension design that you see in the E34 is pretty much what BMW built on all the way down to today. And so if you're not really looking to like go super deep into depth with upgrading suspension and whatnot, you just want to throw on a set of coilovers, the E34 is probably the better car. It has multi-link suspension. The front coilovers can be a little bit of a handful because you have to cut and weld in one spot. But other than that, like for a fun street car, the suspension on the E34, I would take that over what you would get in a four-door E30. Another place where the E34 is superior to the E30 is with drivetrains. I think it's funny because when people get their first E30, the first thing they immediately do is they run out and they get the full drivetrain from an E34. Like, to me, that just feels like a huge waste of time, because if it were me, I would just start with the car that already has the drivetrain that I want in it. If I want a car that has a BMW M60 like this one, I would just buy a car that already has a BMW M60 in it, like that one. And then if in the future, you know, you want to do the big block swap, which is the M60 V8 swap, it's pretty easy because all you have to do is just go acquire the bottom end of the engine and then put your heads on it. And it's pretty much a bolt-in affair. It's not like you're doing all these other mods to get power into your car. To me, it just seems a whole lot simpler and a whole lot more straightforward to start with an E34. Now, I can already see people going crazy in the comments and being like, well, E34s weigh 200 billion pounds. You're wrong. They don't. They weigh about the same as an E92 M3. And the last time I checked, people like driving those. People say they're fun. People say they handle well. So why wouldn't you be able to get a similar experience out of a car that is about the same size as the E92 and is exactly the same weight as the E92? I mean, yes, the E30s are lighter, but that doesn't mean that the E34 is a bad car when it comes to chassis, especially seeing how there are better drivetrain options in the E34. And the last reason why I think you should get an E34 over an E30 is, well, the looks. Now, I'm not saying that four-door E30s look bad, but E34s are the perfect example of classic BMW styling. They nailed this car from the front to the back. Now, a lot of people, when they see E34s, they think BMW just basically took an E30 and then put it in one of those copy machines that just makes everything bigger. But there's a whole lot of subtle things going on all over this car that just make this car peak. A great example is the grille. In 94 and 95, BMW went to a wide nose grille. Before 94, all E34s had narrow nose grilles, kind of like the E30s. But in 1994, every E34 got the wide nose grille, which is something that you see pretty much on every BMW all the way down to, you know, when they decided to ruin their design language with the G80 M3. And then when you go around to the back of these cars, the E30, again, it doesn't look bad, but there's nothing really overly special with the way that the E30 looks. The taillights are kind of generic. But when you look at the E34, it has those classic BMW L-shaped taillights. And the L shape is a mainstay of BMW design even down to today. So like I said, how they ruined the front of the G80 M3, well, BMW still decided to use L-shaped taillights on that car. Just like the Hofmeister Kink, the L-shaped taillights is a critical part of BMW's design language. All right, so hopefully I've convinced you that you want a BMW E34 as your next project. And if I did, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff, because next week I'm gonna tell you what engine should go in your E34.
Is that the Grim Reaper?